Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the D-Day, Django Girls Abuja Virtual. It's my pleasure to welcome every one of us to today's event. My name is Mayokun Adeoti, one of the organizers of Django Girls Abuja. And with me, the team members that have worked to put this together for every one of us. It's my pleasure to say a big thank you to Deborah Lawal, a co-organizer, Inemesit Anson, a co-organizer, Trish Okolo, a co-organizer, William Sonaji, a co-organizer, and then of course our super hustle that will be taking us through the workshop in the course of the next 3 weeks. Bunyamino Sani, Godfrey Umoru, Unamdi Okoro, Obepa Philip, Oluwafumito Odefumi, Salako Hallelujah, and of course my humble self. Django Girls Abuja for the very first time we are having a virtual workshop, and I'm glad to announce to you that this is the very first virtual Django Girls workshop in Africa. So you are all making history by being attendees of this very event. So it's my pleasure to welcome you all, and I hope that by the end of this few weeks of the workshop, you would have become, you would have been well introduced to the art of programming and web development, and you can take off from there. The Python programming language is one of the most used programming language in the world today, and has a lot of use cases. You can use it for data science, you can use it for machine learning, you can use it for web development, and that is what we are going to be focusing on in this workshop. And our particular framework of choice is Django. And so in the next 3 weeks, you will be learning about Python, you'll be learning about Django, you'll be learning about HTML and CSS, and we have different coaches that will be coming up from time. So today we'll be having Coach Oluwafumito Blessed, who is going to be taking us in the installation party. Okay, so it's my pleasure to welcome us all. Kindly let me welcome Inemesit Anson to quickly give us a warm welcome. Inemesit, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to you all. My name is Nemesis Hansen. Thank you so much, Mr. Miyokun, for the introduction. We are all welcome to this super amazing installation fest that has been organized for us by Django Girls. I've been communicating a lot with many of us here, and many of us have been showing us their beautiful faces. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so elated to have you. With all being said, I'm just going to stand on the existing protocol, existing information, and existing welcome message that Mr. Mayokun has already given to us. So we look forward to a really educational and super amazing time with you all. Welcome again. Cheers. Thank you, Mr. Mayo, for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that wonderful word of welcome, Inemesit. So we would quickly go into the meat of today's event, because we really don't want to waste so much time. We have 2 hours, and we will be inviting our coach for today, who would be taking us through the installations proper. Meanwhile, I would like us to know that the event is being recorded and at the same time it's being live streamed on YouTube. Okay, so you would always access to the replay after the workshop for today. But try as much as possible to follow the steps as our coach for today, Oluwafunmito, will be taking us through. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me welcome Oluwafunmito for today's installation party. Funmito, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayowa. It's a big pleasure to be here. It's always a pleasure, to give, whenever there's an opportunity. So, like the lead organizer said, my name is Funmito, and I'll be the one leading today's session. So, if you don't mind, as many of us that are not probably in noisy environments, if you can maybe turn on your video, that would also help. So at least I can get some sort of feedback, as I'm leading this session. I'll just go straight ahead and share my screen. Yeah. Okay, so if you can see my screen, can you please just maybe a thumbs up or something? Yeah. Okay. So that's good to know. That's really good to know. By way of brief introduction again, my name is Funmito Odefemi. Yeah. So Funmito Odefemi. I do a lot of things. I'm an educator, so that's basically what I'm doing here today. I'm educating. I'm an IT administrator and technical support person, so I do a lot of IT admin work and technical support. For my work at the moment, I work as a data analyst. So I currently work as a data analyst for an organization. I'm Google Cloud certified. So if you have maybe, if you need cloud services and maybe a cloud engineer for your services, you can always reach out to me. And another thing is I'm a trained web developer, even though I don't actively do web development, but at least I'm trained. I'm a trained web developer. So today it's going to be interesting. I can assure you. Just ensure that you keep your mind open and you're ready to learn. So one of the things with the IT space is that nothing is ever a waste. No knowledge is ever a waste. So even if you are familiar with some of the things we are going to be doing today, just make sure that you still follow along. You still see one or two things that you find interesting. So this is an install party. It's an installation party. Basically, we're not going to be doing any coding today. So if that puts our minds at rest, it's an installation party and a brief introduction into how the internet works. So this is that's what we are going to be doing today, basically. But I'm going to kind of reverse the rules. So I'm going to start with how the internet works. So I think it's important that we have that background before we go on ahead to do what we need to do. So hopefully, at the end of today, you have the opportunity to understand a little bit how the internet came about and how, I'm here in a place in a part of Nigeria and you on that other side. I know some people are in from every parts of the world, like different parts of the continent and Africa. In Africa, how is it that, I'm sitting here and within 1-2 seconds, someone on the other end of the world is able to hear and see whatever it is that I'm saying. Yeah, so And that's one of the objectives of today's session. And then we're also going to see a demonstration of how you are going to be installing software that we're going to be using for over the next 2-3 weeks. So we're going to be using Git, GitHub, Python, Python Anywhere, Visual Studio Code, Zoom, and Zoom is what we're already using. So and possibly Google Meet at some point. So so I usually like to start my sessions with a poser, however you choose to call it, a posing question. So so my first question today is, when you were going to register for this session, you went to djangogirls.org and you went to Abuja, and then it says register, blah, blah, blah. So where does it actually live? Where does the website actually live? Or what does it mean when we talk about websites or applications? What exactly are we thinking? So I did a little bit of, how would I put it now? So I did, on my screen here is where Django lives. So the Django Girls website lives somewhere in the United States of America. So if you can see my screen, you can see djangogirls.org. You can see something like IP address. We're going to talk about that today. You can see hosting or owner, Cloudflare. You can see location. It's located in the US, United States of America. And then you can see a bit of demography here. So like the popularity of the website and the likes. Yeah, so where does it live and how do we get there when we basically search? Yeah, so next slide. Yeah, I'm going to start by showing us this picture. It might look a bit faint, but please just follow. If at any point you can't hear me, please let me know. Are we all following? Can we all hear me? Okay, thank you. I like to get that feedback each time I'm teaching. So this is a picture of the internet, basically. And if you look at it, you see like a map of the world. It's a bit compressed together, but you see like lines, and then you see like points. So you see a point here. You see a point, then you see a line, you see red lines, you see blue lines, you see points, basically. So this is what the internet looks like. We're going to kind of explain what each of these means later. So, sorry, someone is trying to call me. Yes, sorry. Someone's trying to call. Yeah, I'm sorry for that brief break. Yeah, so this is the internet. So those lines we see here are what we know as fiber cables, fiber optic cables, and then those dots or those circles, little small dots, are called points of presence of the fiber networks. So let's go a bit deeper into what the internet is. So the internet is basically inter. So inter means between. When you hear interstate, international, it means between. So the word internet means inter and network. So between networks. A network, it's basically when two or more things are connected together. That's what makes a network. Then when you now have two or more networks connected together, that's when you have interconnected networks. So internet is basically a collection of different networks spread across different locations. So when the internet started in the late 1960s and early 1970s, it was an experiment that was used by the US Department of Defense for communication between themselves. But then it has grown, it has expanded to include a lot more than what was originally intended for it to be. Beneath the internet, there is what is known as the TCP/IP. We are going to talk a little bit about that. It's not necessary for you to understand that for you to do web development, but it's a good thing that you have an idea, because it's going to help a lot of what you do as a developer. So the TCP/IP protocol is called the Transmission Control Protocol and Internet IP address, Internet protocol address. So those are the two protocols that are responsible for how we communicate on the internet. And then one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that the World Wide Web is not the same thing as the internet. The World Wide Web is just a small part of the internet. It's a very, very tiny part of the internet. The internet is much bigger than the World Wide Web. Yeah. Are we still here? Okay, so at the physical level, the internet is just transferring of information. So basically what it means is transfer of information from one device to another in one of three ways. So information can only go in any of these three ways. There's no other way we transfer information. So we have electricity. That's the use of wires. We have lights, the use of cables, and then we have air, which is what a lot of us, are kind of more familiar with. So electricity, wire, lights, cables, air, as radio waves. So the next slide. Yeah, so when you talk of wireless and wired connections, they are typically used for short distance communications. So take for instance, my laptop, I'm using a laptop for this presentation. It's connected to my wireless router. So my laptop and my router are communicating wirelessly. And my router is just a few meters in front of me. So if I move out of this location now, and then I go to say maybe like the market, there's a market close to my house, I'm not able to receive my wireless signal again because of the distance. So once the distance increases, the power reduces, so I'm not able to receive that signal. The same thing with wires. So when you transmit over wire, so like some of us probably work in offices and our laptops are connected to the internet via LAN cables. So if you've used the LAN cable before, that's called a wired connection. It uses electricity. It uses electric signals to transmit information from your computer to the wireless router instead of wireless signal. So that's wired. Also, because of the design of those wires, there's a limit to how long it can be. So typically, I think about 80 meters or 100 meters. Once it gets to beyond that, you cannot use wires again. You have to use something that can, allow you to transmit information over longer distance. And that is where cables come in. Now, cables are used to transmit information over very, very long distances. So if you look at, let's go back to the very first slide I showed you, the slide on, this is the internet. Yeah, so this slide. Now, these cables are called fiber optic cables. I studied physics in school, and during the process of my study, we did some courses on lights and how lights can be transmitted over long distances. You transmit light over long distances through a process known as refraction. Some of us might not understand this. I'm not going to go into all that. But basically, refraction is a way light is transmitted when it bounces off one surface, bounces to another, bounces to another. So that process is something that allows information to be transmitted over very long distances. So I'll take, for instance, Globacom is probably one of the most popular internet service providers in Nigeria today. Globacom has a fiber optic cable. I don't know if you've heard of Glo1 before. Globacom has a fiber optic cable that runs from the United Kingdom and comes across all the way through the coast of Africa and lands in Lagos. Now, the length of that fiber optic cable is about 10,000 kilometers, close to 10,000 kilometers. If you are going to fly that distance, it will take you maybe about 10, 15 hours of flying. But when you are transmitting information over that same distance, it takes only about 1 second. So that's the power of the internet. I mean, if I had to travel from Lagos to the UK, it takes about 7 hours of flying. But then transmitting information from the UK to Lagos happens in less than 1 second because of technology. So that is one of the wonders of the internet. It boils down to some basic, simple. For those of us that did physics in secondary school, the speed of light is 9 times 10 raised to power 8 meters per second. So basically, it boils down to some of those little details, but we are not going into that today. The idea is just that light is able to travel very, very fast. And then because of that, we are able to transmit information via that light signal. And so that's basically what happens under the hood. So anytime, as I'm talking to you now, my information, my voice, my video is traveling over fiber optic cables, going to the next base station and then traveling to you wherever you are. Yeah, so that's what optical cables are about. So now that we understand, how of transmission of information. Would I say the how? Yes, I think it's the how. The how of, this is how it goes. We want to dig a little bit deeper into, remember I said something about the TCP/IP protocol earlier as the protocols that the internet uses for transmitting information. Now, the internet protocol is the addressing system of the internet. So at the moment, I'm in Abuja. A couple of weeks ago, I made an order on Jumia. And one of the things that Jumia will ask me is, where is your address? Where do you want us to deliver to? So I'll tell you, I live in Galadima. What's this popular? Road 69, Gwarinpa. That is my address. And anybody knows that there's only one Road 69 in Gwarinpa in Abuja. There might be another Road 69 in maybe Lagos, I don't know, but it's possible. There might be another Road 69 in Lagos. It's possible there's there's an Oyo Street in Abuja here. There's also an Oyo Street in another part of the country. So I think in Lagos too, there's an Oyo Street. But what I'm driving out is, just like we have physical addresses, the internet is basically about addresses. That is how the information you send gets delivered. There is an address. Every device, every computer, every phone, every internet-connected fridge has an address on the internet. And how is this address translated into something that, when I visit a site, the site knows this is where I should go to. Yeah, so it boils down to what is called the domain name system, or the DNS. So the DNS is like a register. So I remember when we were growing up, my dad used to travel to Abuja. At the time, we were living in Ibadan, and my dad used to come to Abuja for businesses. And sometimes we'll go to a phone booth and then we'll make a phone call to him. At the very early stages of telephony, so like when phones came, what you'd have is there's a directory of everybody that has a telephone. So you start from A. So let's say I can see an Adedamola here. So let's say Adedamola lives in Stockholm. So this is where she lives. This is her phone number. So there's a registry of everybody that had a telephone at the very, very early 90s and the late 80s and the early 90s. There's that directory. And then as the things evolved, they could no longer keep track of everybody. So the internet works in a similar way. Because so at the time, if I wanted to call Adedamola, I would have to go and check her name, because it's not possible for me to cram everybody's number. So I would have to go and check her name, check her address, and then check her phone number, and then call the phone number. So the internet is like that. So there's a registrar, a very, very, very big, massive registrar that is called the Domain Name System, DNS, that keeps a record of every website basically. Every website you can imagine on the internet. It keeps a record and it says, oh, this is djangogirls.org. The IP address of Django Girls is, so let's go back to our previous slide. Let's see the IP address for Django Girls. Sorry, I'm going to take us back. So, so this is the IP address. The IP address, it has two IP addresses. So you have 104.21.13.54, and then you have 172.67.132.156. I'm going to explain a little, I won't go into much of the details. It's technical, it can be a very technical subject to master, the IP address system. But I'm going to go a bit into how it works. And then that should help us, when each time you go to a website, you appreciate, the kind of effort, the kind of things that have been put into developing this kind of system. Yeah, so so anytime I go to djangogirls.org, the IP address, what first happens is that the moment I put the IP address, the website on my address bar on my computer or on my phone, the first thing that my phone does or my computer does is what? It resolves. So because your computer does not know djangogirls.org, that is the truth. Your computer only understands numbers. We didn't get to talk about, how computers actually work. But this is so, but I'm going to mention that your computer only understands numbers. So it knows that what it does is it resolves. So it goes to the computer that knows where Django Girls lives and says, hey, maybe let's say the name of the computer is Vera. Vera, do you know the address for djangogirls.org? Oh, say, Vera, yes, I know. It's 10 point something, take it. So the computer takes that number and then goes over and starts looking for the computer that has that address. Remember I said every computer on the internet has an address. So it starts to now look for how, the computer that has, there's a system, there's a protocol in place that also understands, that also takes care of that. So it's not our worry, it's there. So once it gets that, what now happens is, it now gets returned. Oh, this is Django Girls. This is what you requested for. Yeah, so that's that. So that's a bit overview of the IP address and the domain name system. So the domain name system is basically just a register. It's a register of addresses of all websites. So let me do a bit of what I call mathematics now. How the IP address thing works. So for those who if at any point you feel like it's too technical, just feel free to call me back. I can explain it a bit. Now, computers work on binary digits. So every computer you see only understands binary digits, only understands zeros and ones. And everything that we do on your computer is inside your processor is just 0101010101. So the IP address also is based off that kind of thing. Now, this is what it happened. It's a 32-bit system that was developed to address computers. So let's say I work in a company where we have 16 laptops. So for those 16 laptops to be on the same network, they have to have different addresses. So let's say one has address 1, one has address 2, one has address 3, one has address 4, and like that. Now, when they were developing the IP system, they broke these addresses down into 4 different parts, what we normally call octets. 4 different octets. It's not, this is not something you can get at a go, unless maybe you have an idea before. Now, each of these things represents how do I put this now? So each of these octets represent like a level, as it were. So take, let me use this illustration. I live in Nigeria. In Nigeria, Abuja, I live in Abuja. In Abuja, I live in Gwarinpa, right? Do you get the idea? In Gwarinpa, I live in Road 69. I'm not saying I live in Road 69. I don't live in Road 69. I'm just using that as an illustration. So you see that there are 4 levels. So there's Abuja, there's Nigeria, there's Abuja, there's Gwarinpa, there's Road 69. Now, when I get to Road 69, there's an house number, right? So that is the same way the IP address is. So when you see 172, it represents a location. So this 172, for instance, represents a place in maybe the US most likely. And then when you see 16, it will represent a smaller part of the United States. When you see 254, it will represent yet another smaller part. And then when you see the last bit, it represents a much smaller location. So for Nigerian, for instance, most of our IP addresses in Nigeria start from 129. So if you're on your computer now, you can actually go online, just search on Google, what is my IP address? So maybe we should do that briefly. Let me just give us like a 1 or 2 minutes break. Just type in your Google search bar, what is my IP address, and see what it brings up. So you see that if you are using a network like maybe Glo or Airtel, you see something around the range of 120 something. If you are using the likes of fiber optic cable, which is maybe like 154 dots. Now, those particular IPs have been assigned to Nigeria. My own current IP is probably around 129 dot something, dot 11 dot something. So anytime I'm visiting the internet, the IP, the location definitely is going to be like wherever I'm going to, it's going to tell, oh, this is where I'm coming from. So it's the reason why sometimes you go to a website, say maybe you go to Amazon. Amazon tells you, we ship to Nigeria. And you're like, how did you know I'm coming from Nigeria? It's because of your IP address. So that's the way the internet has been structured. So every location has their own sort of unique digits. So I don't know, has anybody been able to maybe check out their IP address and maybe got, where like anybody? Okay, 102. I'm seeing a few. I'm seeing a few things. So 197, okay. 102, 197. So I'm seeing a lot of 197. 197 is likely Airtel, if I'm right, I think. Huh? Am I right? Adedamola.
Yes,
sorry.
It's MTN.
Okay, it's MTN, sorry. Okay, yeah. I'm probably mixing it up now. But basically, it's MTN. Okay, I'm mixing it up. But basically 154. So you see a 154, you see a 105, but these are just locations. They just tell you this is where it gives you an idea of your location basically, or your internet service provider. Yeah. So that's a bit of, I hope we get the idea of the IP addressing. Yeah, so that's how it works. So your computer knows that, oh, once I see a 172, I know this is where I'm going to. And then when I see a get to 172 and I get to 16, this is where I'm going to. So it kind of drills down until it gets to that particular location. And then you are served whatever it is you are requesting. Yeah, now the IP address, the IP4 address. So if we do the mathematics, there's a mathematics to it, there is a mathematics to this. You can actually calculate the total number of devices you can get. Now, because it's limited, it's just 32 bits, it only allows for about, I think, 4 billion devices. I'm not sure. This is authoritative. I think about 4 billion devices. Now, I think about 4 billion, either 4 billion or 4 trillion, I'm not sure, one of the two. If you look at the trend of things, today we have about 7 billion people on Earth. And out of that 7 billion, maybe like half are on the internet. Now, personally, I have about 4 devices I use to connect to the internet. Now, if only me, I have 4 devices that I use to connect to the internet, and there are 3 billion people in the world. When you multiply 4 by 3 billion, let's just say each average person has about 4 devices or 3 devices, and you multiply that by 3 billion, that's 9 billion. So you discover that the IPv4 has a tendency to run out. So it's going to run out. So that's why at the moment, they are gradually replacing IPv4 by IPv6. So basically it means IP version 4, IP version 6. So the IP version 6 is 128 bits. If you are the curious type, you can go and check your computer or your phone. It usually has an IPv6 address anytime you're on the internet. So so the IPv6 is not yet common, even though newer devices have IPv6 addresses. So we are still largely running on the IPv4. I figure maybe like another 10, 20 years, they'll probably phase it out. I'm not sure, I'm just saying. Yeah, so that's that with IP addresses and yeah. So I've even explained this. So the domain name system keeps a register of all IP addresses. So the domain name system, just to make it clearer, is just basically a network of servers, a server or servers that keep track of every website that is registered on the internet. So you have probably hundreds or even thousands of them that keeps that register. The most popular is the one for Google. And Google's DNS address is 8.8.8.8. So for those of us that probably do a bit of internet, maybe if you want to test your internet, sometimes, so I'm going to write Google's DNS address. So that's the address for Google's DNS server. So 8.8.8.8, usually when you are doing networking, this is usually the address you use to test when there's internet connectivity on the network. So you just ping this network. Once you ping this network, you receive a response. And once you get a response from this network, you can be sure that that network is connected to the internet. So it's one of the many different domain names servers that are available. There's 1.1.1.1. I'm not sure who that belongs to. But basically, DNS keeps registers of all IP addresses. And then when you go online, it's the first thing that your computer goes to. Your computer goes to a DNS server to translate your website to an IP address. And once it does that, this is the IP address. So Facebook, I wrote this down. This is the IP address of Facebook. So if you enter this IP address in your computer, you'd actually see that it will redirect you to facebook.com. So that's just to prove that this is actually a thing. Of course, there's a bit more technicality to some of these things. So there are IP addresses that are shared. So Facebook has this IP address. It can never change. It's been assigned to them. It can never change. But some websites, you see that sometimes two websites share the same IP address, and you're wondering how does this happen? That's a whole different thing entirely to understand, to like try to get used to it. It comes with hosting and shared hosting and the like. So the DNS is basically the backbone of the internet. If this DNS goes down, the internet goes down. The internet goes down. That's the truth. Yeah, but I think the DNS is probably one of the only systems, maybe not the only, but it's one of the very few systems that has 100% uptime, meaning it can never go down. 100% up down. So I mentioned earlier that I'm a cloud, like I'm a Google certified cloud engineer. So when you are trying to provision a service on Google Cloud, they will tell you this service has a 99.99 SLA, or this one has a 99.9, or this one has a 99.9999. Those things may look very, very tiny, but it can make a whole lot of difference. It can make a whole lot of difference. Between 99.9 and 99.99 is a whole lot. Those are some of the things you get on them. You don't even get 100. You barely ever get 100. The only place you get 100 is DNS. I can tell you that DNS system will never go down. A virtual machine, for instance, can have a service level agreement of maybe 99.99, meaning that if you look at 365 days, maybe about 1 minute or 2 minutes every year, it may go offline. But that's usually the provision. But when it comes to DNS, you cannot afford to go online for even 1 second. So that's basically what that means. I need to run so that by 4 I can complete this, and then we'll start installations stuff. So another thing with the internet that would probably also help you understand better is packets and routers. So how do we actually transmit information? So information is transmitted via packets. So every time you send something, your computer breaks it down. It breaks it down into small bytes called packets. So these packets are now what you transmit. So let me use this illustration. I'm a fan of space. I love space. Like I follow everything about space, SpaceX, NASA. When they're launching a rocket. Last year we went to Mars. As a matter of fact, I went to Mars last year. Just so you know, I went to Mars. So I was on the rocket that went to Mars last year. If you're interested in details of that, feel free to chat me up. Let me just tell you that I'm still on Earth, by the way. Yeah. So I said that for this reason. So when they want to build a rocket, if you've ever seen a rocket, I've not seen a rocket like physical before. You see that, that rockets are massive, they are huge. A single rocket can be like 10-story buildings tall. Now, there is no way you can transmit a rocket on one vehicle. There's no way you can do it. So what they do is they break it down into maybe 5-6 different parts, or even sometimes as much as 10 different parts. Then they send them out separately. Then when they get to where they are going to launch, they assemble them together and then they launch them. So that's the same way the internet works. Anytime I want to send out information, because it's too big to send down as a whole, what your router does, so this is the job of the router now, what it now does is it breaks it down into small, tiny parts known as packets. A single packet is probably like a few bytes large. So it breaks it down and now sends them on different routes. So that's where the word router comes from. Routes, like journey. It sends them out on different routes. And then when it gets to the destination, it now reassembles them, just like a rocket. It reassembles it back. And then you are able to see the full thing. Meanwhile, you have no idea how this thing was sent. So your say, take for instance, maybe you want to send a picture of you. When you send a picture, let's say even over WhatsApp, you send a picture. What WhatsApp does is, maybe you upload that picture, your internet router, wherever your computer is, your phone is connected to, breaks it down into small pieces. Of course, you don't see this, and this thing happens in so fast, you don't even notice. Breaks it down. So it might be a picture of your hair that actually gets sent first, or a picture of maybe like your eye. But the idea is they don't all appear, like they don't all get there at the same time. But when they get there, every part knows where it belongs. So they just kind of fit together, and then you're able to see the full thing. So each packet carries the sender's IP address and the destination IP. And then, so everything here I've basically explained. They act like traffic managers, and they keep track of each packet until the packet reaches where it's going. So when it gets to where it's going, it's reassembled again. Now, we're getting closer to the crux of what we're really here for. So the World Wide Web is the biggest part of the internet, no doubt. There are smaller parts of the internet, and the World Wide Web is the biggest part. What happens there is just that when I visit djangogirls.org, when I visit Django Girls, I'm using that because that's why we're here. We're here because of Django. When I visit Django Girls, I'm sending a request to Django Girls server. A server is basically just a computer. It's another computer, really. That's just it. You can imagine it as your computer, but then it's faster. It has to be on all the time. Like, you cannot afford to go offline. So when I make a request to it, what it now does is it serves my requests as a response. Yeah, so it's important that you understand these things, because when we start to get into Django and we start to talk about rec and res, we start to talk about response and request, because we're going to now be dealing with servers. You'll be able to understand, oh, so my computer is the requester, the server is the responder. So we're going to start putting all these things together. And how do they communicate with each other? They communicate via another protocol. The internet is full of protocols. They communicate via a protocol known as HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So when you visit a website, you notice that usually you see something like http://djangogirls.org. So HTTP means it's traveling over Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Yeah, that's the protocol for transmitting web services. Now, these days, there's always an S added to mean secure. When it's secure, it's encrypted, meaning that nobody is able to interrupt whatever it is you're trying to send to another person. So that's the importance of HTTPS. Now, the server sends a response as an HTML document. So we're going to be talking about HTML, hypertext markup language. So that's the language we are going to be learning over the course of the next 2-3 weeks. 2 weeks, basically. So the next 2 weekends. So we're going to be learning HTML, and we're going to be learning a few other things that help HTML, do what it knows how to do. So what your browser does is that it now renders your HTML document in a way that everybody can see, and then we are all happy. I hope we are happy. Yeah. So that's what your browser does, basically. So there's a summary of everything I've been saying so far. I'm done with this bit. So the next part will just be the installation. So the HTTP and DNS, they manage the sending of receiving of HTML, media files, and everything on the web. Under the hood, you have the TCP/IP networks, and you have routers that break down and transport this information over small packets. The packets are basically made up of binary digits. I didn't explain this at all because that's not what we are doing. We're not talking about computers today. We're talking about the internet. So if you want a class on computers, you want me to explain how computers work, feel free to chat me up. You know, just holla. So binary digits, so zeros and ones, and then packets are now sent through wires, through optical cables, and through wireless networks. So you remember that was where we started from. These packets are sent through wired. If you are connected to a wired network, packets go to the wire. If you are connected to a wireless network, it goes to a wireless network. But in all of them still go through cables, because if I'm in Nigeria and I want to talk to someone in Lagos, there is no wireless, as it were. There is no wireless network between Abuja and Lagos. It has to go through an optical cable that runs from Lagos to Abuja. So that's how someone in Lagos is able to hear what I say or see my video, because the packets I'm sending out are going through this media or this medium. So sometimes you are using the 3, sometimes you are using 2, but at every time you are communicating over the internet, you are using at least 2 of them. Either you are using cables and wires or cables and wireless. So the cable is the one that basically is the common denominator. Is the common denominator, because that's how information is transmitted over long distances. Yeah, so that's the first part. Whew. I feel like yeah, so I managed to do this under 1 hour. That's a good thing. I planned to do it in 1 hour, so it's a good thing. So we're going to go to the installation first, but maybe before we do that, I don't know, maybe we have any questions. Let me just give us, a chance to maybe just say 1 or 2 things. If you have questions, if you have anything, just feel free to drop it in the chat, or anything on your mind, basically. Where am I? Sorry. The last slide. This. Questions, reactions. Okay. All right. Sorry, please, just 1 minute. Let me take a sip of water. Okay, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. Yeah, so we're going to the installation. So I know a lot of us have actually probably done, some of these installations. But for those who have not, I'm going to try and go over them, explain some of these things, and why we need them, what we are going to be doing next couple of weekends. So 7 things basically. They're not difficult. Hopefully in the next 20-30 minutes we'll be done with these. So it's supposed to be like a follow along. Yeah, so we have the command line. We'll talk briefly about the command line. We'll talk about Python, we'll talk about code editors, we'll talk about virtual environments, we'll talk about Django, which is why we're here. And then we'll talk about Git and GitHub, and we'll talk about Python Anywhere, which is going to be our hosting service. Yeah, so the first thing, command line interface. Yeah, so this is like one of my favorite things with computers. I like to interact with the computer with the CLI. Like everybody that knows me knows that anytime I want to run a program, even if it's just Microsoft Word, I want to start, I use command line. If I want to start my browser, I use command line. If I want to do literally anything I want to do on my computer, I use my command. Because it's faster. Instead of me to start going to start, using my start menu, start going to program, start 2-3 seconds, I just run it, WinWord, start. Brings it up like in the speed of light. So the CLI is a window that allows you to interact directly with your computer's operating system. So if you are going to be a developer, the CLI is going to be your best friend. Now, at this point, I'm going to leave the slide a bit so that I can, start to I can start to, so I'm going to share my entire screen now. Because now what we're going to be doing is going to be largely hands-on. Sorry. Yeah, so okay. Yeah, so this is my CLI. Can we see my screen? Yeah, so now for Windows users, if you use a Windows operating system, to start up your command line, all you need to do is press the Windows key and the R button. So Windows and R. So Windows R, it brings up your run command. Windows and R, if you are using a Windows computer. I'm sorry, other people with other operating systems, Macintosh, Linux. I'm not using any of those, but I'm sure there's a shortcut you can use to run these commands too. So for Windows, just type CMD. It means command. So CMD, you can see it brings up my command line interface. Now, anything I want to do from my computer, I can do here using the CLI. Now, to illustrate what I said earlier. So let's say I want to start Microsoft Word now. This is all I need to do. Okay, it's not in my environmental variable. Let me use the run. So if I wanted to run Microsoft Word, I'll use WinWord. The run command is a bit of a command editor. So doing that, it brings it up. Yeah, but the command is basically for interacting with your operating system. So take, for instance, if I want to start Python, I just type Python, and then I'm able to interact with Python directly. So that's how easy it is. Control Z. Yeah, that's how easy it is. So you need to get yourself familiar with the command line interface, how it works, what makes it what it is. So let me quickly do a bit of explanation of directories here. Let's talk about directories. So if I'm going to put this on full screen, can you see this? Is it clear enough? My command line. Yeah. So you see, I have C users fumitor.odefemi. Now, your CLI allows you to interact with your computer as if you are interacting via a graphical user interface. What most of us are used to are our graphical user interface. So you open my computer, and when you open your computer, you now see your hard drive. So let me do the same thing here. So I have my computer opened here. So this is my computer. This is popular my computer. So you can see what I have here. I have on this left pane, I have like short links. Then here I have folders, I have drives. So you can see that I have two drives on this computer. There's a C drive, there's a D drive, right? Now, this is my command line interface. You can see I have a C, and then I have a dot. Maybe I should make, is this legible enough, or should I make it bigger? Is it okay enough? Should I make it bigger? Like the fonts on my command line. Sorry, please. I want to know if I should make this bigger. Let me see. Okay, it's okay. Okay, bigger. Some people want me to make it bigger, so I'll make it a little bigger. Properties. Just a second. Yeah, so let's make this 24. Yeah, does that help? So I have 24, it's on 24 now. Now you see users fumitor.odefemi. Now, yeah, basically what this is telling you, remember the analogy I gave earlier that, inside Nigeria, you have Abuja, inside Abuja, you have Gwarinpa. So the same thing kind of applies here. So my Windows drive it represents my computer's physical hard drive. So when I open this drive up, you see different folders. So I'm sure all of us, at least, we understand how folders work. So when I open my C drive, I have different folders. And when I open, so what I'm interested in is this users folder. There's a users folder here that shows the different people that have access to this computer. So there's an administrator, and there's my name. You see fumitor.odefemi here. So this is my own folder. So everything I have belongs to this folder. So all of my documents, all of my videos, my music, my pictures, they all live inside this folder. Now, your command line allows you actually check, the way your computer is structured, as it were. So I'm going to go back all the way to my C drive. So you see now I have a C .. So meaning that at the moment I am inside my C drive. So inside here, I'm inside here. Now look at this location. Look at this location. You see there are about 37 items in this particular C drive. Now I'm going to list all of them right here too. So I'm going to use a command known as directory. So the command line, like I said earlier, is used for interacting with your directory. So if I put the directory, it lists out everything under my C drive. So you can see these are the same things that are inside my C drive. So you can see 24 files, 13 directories. Now let us come here and let us count the number of directories. So if you look down here, you see what? 13 items. So these are the number of directories in this C drive. And from here, you can see 13 directories, 24 files. So let's count the number of files. So you can see 24 files. So your without even having to open my computers like Explorer, I can kind of navigate and try to see what is inside. So the same way, now let's say I want to go into this folder, this users folder. This is where I'm interested in going into. All I need to do is use the change directory command. So there's a command called change directory. I think this same thing applies to Linux and Mac operating system. So you can use this change directory. Now, when I click on change directly, I want to go to the users folder. You see that it automatically moves away from C to C/user / in this sense. So the same thing, I can do the same thing. I can do a bit of like trying to understand what's in there. So you can see there are 0 files, 5 directories. So admin, fumitor.odefemi, public. So the same way, I want to go to cd fumitor.odefemi. So I'm here now. So this was the initial, this was where it brought me to at first. If I do directory to the same thing, you see 4 files, 30 directories. So you can go on like that, like that, like that. It's important that you understand these logical arrangements when we start to install Django and when we start to fiddle with Django. You are going to need to understand how this thing works, because you're going to be interacting with the command line while you are doing everything. So it's important that you have an idea how all the commands and the chains, how they work. So basically it's a backslash. A backslash means inside. That means like it's the, so this C is the mother. So user is inside C. That's why it's a backslash. Fumi.fm is inside users. That's why it's a backslash. If it's the internet, so I'm going to open my web browser. I have my web browser open here. So I'm going to go to djangogirls.org. So you would see Django Girls load up. Now, so you can see what we were talking about earlier, https dot. So that's the protocol. Now, you see djangogirls.org. Now, I'm going to put a / here, and I'm going to put Abuja. So because Django Girls is inside Abuja, so djangogirls.org is like the mother, if I can say it like that. Abuja is like a child under Django Girls. So that's how you have a backslash. So the backslash basically inside Django Girls, go to the Abuja folder. So I'm going to, so you see that the way your computer works is the same way the server works. So it's just a function of understanding that nomenclature, understanding that hierarchy. So you see on Django Girls / Abuja. So Abuja lives inside djangogirls.org. The same way for the command line, this lives inside users. So I can decide to go further. I can go into my desktop now. Let's say desktop. So and look at the list of files inside my desktop. So you see, these are the files I have on my desktop. So all these things, they live inside one another. So it's good that we understand that as a precursor to what we are going to be doing in the next couple of minutes. Yeah, so back to our slide. Python. So how many of us have Python installed already? Yeah, the / is basically the same thing. So it's basically the same idea. It means that when you have / something, it means this is it's under. So I'm going to walk us through installing Python now. So for those of us who don't, maybe you might just want to walk along and might just want to just follow along if you don't have Python installed. Yeah, so how do we install Python? You go to python.org. That's where you install Python. So if you don't have Python, just come go to python.org. So that's where you start from. So if you have Python already, I want to believe you have already followed the instruction. Yeah, so for people who have Linux computers, Python usually comes pre-installed. So your Python comes with Linux. Yeah, I don't know if the same for Windows. Now, you see Python, you see downloads, so you come under downloads, download for Windows, because I use a Windows computer. So the latest version is Python 3.9.4. So let's come here. It's going to start downloading. I'm just doing this for demo. I already have Python installed, so I'm not going to, yeah, so once it's done installing, run it. So this is going to run, and then I'll show you some of the things that you need to take note of when you are installing Python, if you have not already done so. I'm doing this, for the sake of those who are going to watch the recordings later. So there are things to take note of when you are trying to install. Just a few seconds. So like when the installation runs, my screen might go blank. So now this is the installer. Can we all see? You can see install now. Now this is the installer. Install launcher for all users. You can decide to, you can decide not to. Now, the most important part when you are installing Python is that you add it to path. What does the path represent? In an operating system, your path represents your operating system's environment variables. So when I mean environment variables, it means variables that you can call directly from your command line. So if you don't add it to path, you'll not be able to call it directly from your command line. So there are some variables that automatically come with your computer. But when you are installing Python, make sure you install it here so that it is put inside your path. So you just put install now. Now my screen is going to blank out for a bit, so just be patient. It's going to be back on just a few seconds. Yeah, so initializing. Yeah, so it's going to blank out while so I'm going to need to do a few steps. Yeah, sorry guys, just a few seconds now. It's because it needed admin. Yeah, so you can see. So I've allowed it. So once you do that, it's going to just install, and it might take some time depending on how fast your computer is. I really don't need this because I already have Python installed actually. So yeah, so but that's that about how you install Python. It's not a big deal. It's not, if you've not done it, it's something you can do like immediately now while waiting. Yeah, so Python is different from Python anywhere. So I'm going to cancel that because I don't need it to install actually. Python anywhere is an hosting site. So when you develop a website, you need it to run on a computer that is always online. If you can allow your computer to run 24 hours of the day, 365 days a year, and you have the money to have it running, you can host your website by yourself. But I can assure you, you don't want to do that. So there are some people that make these services available. Some make it available for free, some make it available for you to pay. So Python Anywhere is one of those services that allows you to host Python websites for free. At least some of the basic, you have some basic restrictions, but they allow you to host it everywhere. Basically, what you are doing is you put your code on their servers, and then you can access it from anywhere in the world. So that's what Python Anywhere is. So that's the difference between Python and Python Anywhere. And so the next thing is sorry guys, computer is slowing down. It's probably because of that installation. Just a second.
Did we lost our coach? Hello, can anyone hear me? Okay, seems like we lost our coach. Can we just give him a few minutes if he's trying to reconnect?
Okay. Thank you all for sticking to the workshop up to this moment.
Hi, everyone. Let's give our coaches a minute. They're probably having network glitches.
Welcome back, sir. Your mic is muted. Yes, your mic is muted. Coach Fomito, your mic is muted. You're welcome back. Coach Fomito.
Yeah,
Okay, welcome back, sir.
yeah, thank you guys. I'm sorry. I'm not sure. My computer stopped responding. So I have to join with my phone. Yeah, sorry. I see someone was asking for like a 5 minute break. I don't know, maybe we can just allude that, maybe while we just wait. While I rejoin, I'm able to rejoin with my computer. So maybe we just take that few minutes recess. It's been I know it's not easy sitting down. Yeah, so I'm currently using my phone. So I'm going to ask you, okay, my computer is back. Okay, I think I'll just continue with this. I'll just present from my laptop. So just a minute. Are we together? Are we together?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Okay, sorry. I'm going to share my screen again. I'm unable to share my screen, so please can you? In MS, can you please make me call so I can share my screen?
Okay, sir.
So you can download any version of Python. I think anything from 3.8 should do. So I currently have still not able to share my screen. So those that need to pray, please go ahead and pray while we sort these technical issues. So I'm not able to share my screen at the moment because I'm not a co-host. So if you need to pray, just take the time. So we're going to be, I'm not going to do anything for the next 10 minutes. So I can allow people who want to go and pray.
Okay, so I think you're now a co-host. Omika, can you hear me?
Yes, not this one, the other one, the other one, not this particular. So I'm using two devices now. So I'm calling from my phone, I'm calling from my computer. For my computer,
what's the name of
there's
your-
no audio.
What's the
The
name
same
of the
name,
other
but there's
one?
no audio. There's no audio. So that the one that doesn't have audio, that doesn't have video.
Okay. Is that okay now? Hello, is that okay now?
Yeah, I think I'm having network. Okay, this again. Yeah. Good.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Sorry for the brief break in transmission. It was due to some unexpected computer glitches. So my device stopped responding. Yeah. Okay, so we've done the command line, we've done the Python. Yeah, let's go to the code editor. Okay. I hope everyone that wanted to go and pray, I hope they should be back by now. Okay, thank you. All right, so we've done Python, we've done the command line. So let's look at code editor. So the next thing we want to look at is a code editor. So what's a code editor? A code editor is what you use to edit code. That's the word. So on my own computer, I have Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to just open that now. Code. So if you don't have any code editor installed on your computer, you want to go to, depending, so for VS Code is available for every operating system, Linux, Mac, Windows. So I prefer it because I'm a big fan of Microsoft. I don't hide that. So I think I just tend to have that bias when I want to recommend code editors. So I recommend Visual Studio Code for people to use. Yeah. So you just go to code.visualstudio.com. If you have not already downloaded the code editor, just go to code.visualstudio.com. Now, if you want to install maybe Sublime Text, you can use a Google search engine to search for their website. So sublimetext.com. So these are the different code editors you can use. So I have Visual Studio Code. Let me see if it's open. So like I ran it a couple of seconds ago. Yeah, so once you visit, just download for Windows. Once you click on this, it's going to download, then you install. Same thing with Sublime Text. So Sublime Text is available at sublimetext.com. You see download for Windows. So it automatically recognizes your operating system and your command. So if you want to download Atom, Atom is also a very good code editor. I've not used it before, but from reviews, yeah, it's a good one. I've used Sublime Text. When I first started out, I used to use I used Sublime Text before I joined the Visual Studio Code editor. So I'm waiting for my own Visual Studio Code to open up. So we have Atom. So atom.io. So this is the website. So you can actually download all and just try. See whichever one you feel you are more comfortable with. And use, try your hands on. So that's the thing with development. Nobody's going to tell you this is what to do. So Atom, I think Atom was originally developed by the GitHub, the Git developers, people that developed GitHub. So it's a good code editor too. So I've not used it before. Yeah, but there are so many of them. There is gedit, plenty. So you can always Google to search for the most popular. There's Notepad++. That's also another good one. I use Notepad++. So after installing and you open, so this is what your code editor would look like. Basically, so you'd have your menu, file, edit, selections, then you have so these are open tabs. So if you look here, if you look on the right side, where I currently have my cursor, you see that I have some open files. So this is supposed to be for this Django project actually. So this is what we are going to be developing over the next couple of days and weeks. So you see, this is like a file explorer. So it has different files, different folders. So this is what the code editor looks like. Once you download and install, you'll be able to write code, literally. You'll be able to write code. Let me open a full-fledged project, a project that is always I'm always working on. So you can get to see what it's like to code. It's very interesting. It's something that once you sit down, sometimes you just sit down, you'll be like 5 hours have gone and you don't even know where it's gone. So it's a very interesting hobby if you don't want to do it like full time, something you can do, by the side. Like for me, I don't do development like for my day-to-day living, but I do it for my own personal stuff. So I have a couple of friends, I have my own personal website, so that kind of thing. So all these, from time to time, I just sit down. So this is my own code. This is my own personal website. So basically, this is the code that runs my personal website. There's a lot of things you might not understand, but basically, this is how it looks. So a normal project will contain different folders. So you see title. We're going to get to HTML. We're going to get to all of these. HTML, what is it like to, what does HTML look like? But this is, I'm just trying to prepare us ahead. Okay. So now you might be wondering, this is one person's website. How many lines of code? So my own page currently has about 443 lines. It's not something I built in a day. This is something I've been building since 2018. So there's never an end. Like a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking again, I need to change this look. I need to change a few things. So I'm just looking for maybe another weekend that I'm free. I'll just sit down, change the outlook again. So that's the way this journey is. You keep learning, you keep improving, you keep learning, you keep improving. If I show you the first version of my website, all of you will laugh. But today it's a bit better. And as I go, I'm also incorporating some of the changes I learned, and then it's also getting better with it. So that's it with code editors. VS Code, Sublime, Atom, Gedit. They are some of the most popular ones. Next, I wasn't supposed to close that actually. So we have the virtual environment. So I think this is where we begin to start work with Django. Yeah. So what's the virtual environment? So in development, or in Python development particularly, there are some things where development, not even just Python. So there are some things we call project dependencies. So a particular project you are working on might need some particular thing. So anything that your project needs for it to run is called a dependency. So I might be building a blog for someone, if I'm running Python, for instance, that needs me to use Python 3.9. And then I'm building another one that needs me to use Python 3.7. And then on your computer, you cannot have more than one, you can have more than one installation of Python, but how do you now tell, this particular project, this is what you should use, this particular project, this is what you should use? That's where a virtual environment comes into play. So what it does is it packages everything about a particular project separately. So irrespective of what I have in my computer, it builds a separate environment for that project itself. So that's what virtual environment is about, really. And it's important when you're building Python projects to have virtual environments running. So how do you get a virtual environment running? So this is where we are going to start from. So if you already have installed your VS Code or your code editor, you already have Python, I want to assume. So what you want to do now is maybe start your code editor. So start your code editor and start your code editor and find a folder that you think is convenient for you. Navigate to a folder that you think is convenient for you on the command line. So take, for instance, if you look at my computer right now, I have C user fomito.odefemi dev. So like if you look at this folder, so I have a folder where I put all development projects. So that folder is called dev on my computer. So you might want to create something like that. So maybe you want to put yours on your desktop. Maybe you want to put yours on your on the desktop. I'm just saying, it doesn't have to be anywhere you feel like, oh, this is where I want my project to live. I've even done. So this is where I want my project to live. So just do that. I'm not able to see what we are doing, but I want to assume that you are doing it. Yeah, so create that folder. Maybe you want to create it on your document, inside your document, however, wherever works for you. Maybe inside your C drive, maybe on your desktop. Create that folder and name it Django Girl. So how do you do that? Sorry, I'm going to need to restart my Visual Studio Code. You use the make directory command. So mkdir, that's the command you use to create a folder. So I've already done that. So I'm not going to be necessarily doing that again. But let me just do, for illustration purposes, let me just do it. So let's say, for instance, so I'm starting a new command window, right? Now I want to move to my desktop. So I want this to be on my desktop. So I want to move to my desktop. Desktop. So I'm in my desktop at the moment. So I want to create a Django Girls folder. So I'm going to put make directory mkdir. So I'm going to create a new folder, Django Girls, right? So for illustration, Django Girls. Now it doesn't say anything, but if I now list it out, can you guys hear me? Yeah? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so I was saying, go to your desktop, folder. From what I had explained earlier, so change directory, you should be able to navigate your desktop now from your command line. So the moment you start your command line, usually it will go to your user, the name of your current user on your computer. C users, maybe your username is Philip, C users Philip, or C users in MSX. That's usually where your command starts from. So you want to go to that part that you want your project to live in. So maybe you want it to live on your desktop. So go to your desktop by using the change directory command. So CD, that's what you use for change directory. CD desktop. And then when you are there, now create a Django Girls folder, mkdir, make directory, Django Girls. So once you've done that, and you click directory, you'll be able to see the Django Girls folder. So now if you look at my computer now, you can see that it has created the Django Girls folder, right? So once you are there, you now want to change directly to that particular Django Girls folder again. So change directory, cd Django Girls. So this is the folder we are going to be working in for all of our Django work. We are going to be doing everything we are doing inside this Django Girls folder. So our project is going to live in Django Girls. Is anybody following? You're not following. You're lost. Okay, so where are you? Do you want to have we opened your command prompt? So this is usually where it starts to get interesting. It's important that everybody is following. So even if we are not able to like start anything, but it's important that you understand this. So charts, sorry. Okay. Charity, Adedamola, Marianne, Adetula, Evelyn, please, do you want to like explain further where you are lost? So I'm going to go over it again. Start your command prompt. Yeah, so we are going to get to Visual Studio Code. We can do it inside VS Code. You can do it inside command prompt. Anyone, you can do it in any of them. So because VS Code comes with a command, it comes with a CLI. It comes with a CLI. So you can do it in any. You can do it in any. You can do it in any. So if you want to, if you'd rather do it in VS Code, let's do it in both. Yeah, so this one is automatically starting virtual environment. Screen showing what files is. I'm not sure that is clear enough. Charity, do you want to unmute? Let me see. Charity, do you want to explain yourself just briefly? Sorry. Hello, Charity, are you there? Okay, she has muted. Adedamola, are you on the same page? Okay. Where are you? Can you let me unmute you so that you can talk?
Okay. To start with, you said we are opening a new folder. We are creating a new folder.
Yes, Django Girls.
So, okay, so where are we creating this folder? Are we
So that's what I said.
Are we to open this video code to create folder, or we go to our usual desktop?
No, don't do it from your desktop. Do it from VS Code or from your command prompts. That's part of the training. So do it from your VS Code. So if you have VS Code open your terminal. So you see, I think under view, you should see terminal, show terminal or something.
I've seen terminal.
Open your terminal. So
okay.
Like you can see. Now,
new terminal.
Yes, click on new terminal. Now open command prompt. How many do you have? So use new command prompts. Yeah, so when you open your terminal, maybe we should just do everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm on to c.user/HP.
Okay. Now you have /HP. So under /HP, now type CD. If you want it to be under desktop, now type CD desktop. If you want it to be in your desktop, so type CD space, then put a desktop. So it's going to move to the desktop folder.
Okay.
Yeah. So once it moves to the desktop folder, you now create your folder in the desktop. So you now type mkdir Django Girls. So that one will automatically create a folder called Django Girls inside your desktop.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. So now cd again into the Django Girls folder. Now type cd Django Girls. So you can see like I'm doing cd Django Girls. So it's going to now bring you to the Django Girls folder.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that the case? So you should
Yeah.
have something like this: C users HP desktop Django Girls. Is that happening? Anybody else confused? Time is going, so we need to really rush this up. Yeah, is that the case now? So once you have that open, so we're going to now install our virtual environment. So how do you do that? If you are using Windows, you type Python virtual and Visual Studio isn't working. So I'm going to name my, you can name your virtual environment anything. So I'm going to name my own virtual environment board. So this is how you start your virtual environment. Python, if you are using Windows, Python. If you are using other operating systems, use Python 3. But for Windows, Python, make virtual env, that's /m, virtual env, then the name of the virtual environment. So it's advisable you use something like maybe my venv or something. But I want to, because I've used that name before, I want to use another one called. So it's going to create I don't have sorry. Okay. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay, it's venv. It's venv, not virtual environment. So Python venv, then the name of the virtual environment. It's advisable you use something very short. So you see that it's working in the background. So after some time, it's going to bring the next line. Once that has happened, just a few seconds more. So I want to believe you are following along. So just while that is running, let's go to VS Code. My VS Code already has it running. You see? So you see, if you look here, you see it has already run. My venv script activates. So this is how you activate your virtual environment. You type the name of the virtual environment, my venv /scripts /activate. So once you do that, just type enter. It activates the virtual environment for that particular project. Please note that every time you want to run your project, you have to do this. Every time you want to run your particular project, you need to activate your virtual environment so that it's yeah, so it's done now. So what I'm going to now do is I'm going to activate it. So I'm going to put venv /scripts /activate. So this is how you activate the virtual environment. You type venv scripts with an S, then activate. sorry. This is why it's good to always have a unified name. So let me use the name of the virtual environment. So that's the name of my virtual environment. So you see brackets here, bold. So it means this project is currently running in a virtual environment. So it's going to isolate it from the rest of my computer. So once that is done, what's next is to install Django. Really, that's what's next. So we install Django. How do we install Django? Because I've already installed Django in this particular one, I'm going to be using this other one to install Django. To install Django, I want to first update all my, so I want to install my updates. I want to install updates. So Python pip install upgrade pip. So pip is the software that I use to install your packages, because web development projects are run with packages mostly. So pip is like your package installer. It helps you install everything you need to install. But first, I want to upgrade pip. So once pip has been updated, then I want to now install Django. Before we do that, we're going to create a document. Sorry. So copy. You want to create a small document. So in this same folder, this Django Girls, what you want to do is create a file named requirements.txt. So I'm going to make a file, touch requirements.txt. Requirements. Okay, let me do that here. Sorry. So I'm going to open this particular folder here in VS Code. So my desktop. Sorry, I need to begin to wrap up. Sorry, if you feel so left out, I'm sorry. You can just go back and watch the video. So I'm going to need to just rush things up. This is why I usually try to, but there's no rush really. If you still feel like you need some time, feel free to reach out. The coaches we're all on WhatsApp, so you can always reach out to us there personally or otherwise. So so I have this running now. So inside this Django Girls folder, I want to create a file. So terminal. So I'm going to create a file called requirements.txt. So I'm going to create a folder, that file, requirements.txt. Yeah, so if you look, if you look here now, you see it has created the file requirements.txt by just typing requirements. So I'm going to paste Django version, what's that, sign. Just copy and paste. Yeah, so this tells you to install, this tells them the package installer to install Django 2.4. So I save this. Now, remember that we have our virtual environment running here. So I want to run, I want to install Django. So what this will do is that everything that is in this requirements document. So you see Django version 2.2.4. Once I run Python pip install requirements.txt, it takes everything in this file. It will start installing Django, because I have told it to install Django here. So can you see collecting Django 2.2.4? That was the same version I specified. So if you look to your right, you'd see that it's going to create a folder here. It's going to create a folder called Django Girls. Django is going to create a Django folder here. So installing. So it's just a network thing. Just a few this is a video you can watch over and over and over and over. Any part you feel you missed out on, just watch, and then you'll be able to see. So while that is ongoing, let me just complete the slides. So GitHub, do we have the time to do this? So Git is a version control system. Basically, Git allows you to keep track. Whenever you are building a project, you want to keep track of every change you are making. You want to keep track of every change you are making. So Git is a system that allows you to do that. Yeah, I know we said 2 hours. I want to crave your indulgence. So give me like 5-10 more minutes, so that we can just look at Git and GitHub. So I can just explain. Maybe we will not be able to do the installation. So anybody that feels they have any issues can always reach out to me, later, to help with installing Git and GitHub. So you install Git via gitscm.com. So Git is a version control system. Sorry. So let's see how far our Django is going. Still installing. So Git, just the same way you downloaded VS Code, the same way you downloaded Python, download Git. Yeah, so download for Windows. Once you click on download, then you install. Install like you normally install any. Can we get a video that is more explanatory? So, like I said, if you watch the video over and over again, you actually get it. The reason it looks like it's been rushed is that, it's live and you are not able to keep up. But if you actually sit down with it at the end and try to, follow the step by step, you see that it's not actually very difficult, and I'm accessible. So my phone number is on the chat group. So I'll just, maybe after the discussion, yeah, so after the discussion, I'll just say hello on the chat group. So this is Git. Once you install Git on your computer, we are literally good to go. Then you set up an account on GitHub. So GitHub is based on Git. GitHub is like, so some people always ask, what's the difference between Git and GitHub? GitHub is a hub for developers. So it's like a social media for developers. So basically, Git allows you to keep track of, it allows you to keep track of your changes to your software. GitHub allows you save it online so that you can work with others. Yeah. So GitHub is like a repository, an online repository for software developers. Yeah, so sign up on GitHub if you don't have an account. I'm going to sign in because I already have an account. Yeah, so that's my username. Yeah, so let me make a point of, let me just make a note here. So as a developer, it's important that security is like the number one thing in everything you do. So everything you have, like everything you do, should always have a fail-safe when it comes to like security. So literally all of my social media accounts, all of my online accounts have two-step authentications enabled. So if you notice that it told me to verify that it was me, so immediately you try to log in, I get a code and then I get to put it in. So it's important that everything we do, we put security first. So your emails, your social media accounts, they should be two-factor authenticated. So I think it's important that I say that because a lot of people get hacked and the likes because of some of these little things. So this is my repository. So I'm going to give you, I'm going to show you a overview of how GitHub looks. Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of like the dark. My GitHub has not been very active because I don't do active development. So yeah, so the last time I did anything was in February 3. That's a long time ago. And so it basically shows your activities. Yeah, so so these are like the most recent activities I've done on GitHub. Yeah, so this is me. So when you sign up, you can now follow people. So you can follow other developers. You can follow. Maybe I should make this white. So you can follow other people, and then get to see what people are doing on their like as developers. So you can see this has completed. So successfully installed Django. Now, if we come to VS Code now, you see Django has been installed. Should show. Sorry, this is. Let me just open the folder. Django girls. So this is our virtual environment. So I think we'll continue from here tomorrow so that I don't Python Anywhere, the same way. So just sign up for a Python Anywhere account. This is where we're going to be hosting everything we are doing. So after we've done the development over the next 2 weekends, this is where we are going to host it. We're going to host our website for free. Okay, so I think, sorry, the last part had to be rushed. Probably we should have spent less time on the first part, but I think it wasn't a waste of time. It was a good thing that we were actually able to at least lay a very solid foundation, because it's those things that you actually need. When you start to encounter issues, errors, we are going to need some of those understanding of, how your file structures work, how your computer relates with the internet, and some of those basic concepts are going to be really needed. Yeah, like I said, I'm easily reachable. So this is my social media. So I am everywhere. Fumito Blessed, LinkedIn, GitHub, Twitter, Instagram, I'm not so very active, but you'll find me. So basically everywhere online. This is my unique ID. Even my website, it's fumitoblessed.com. So you can check it out. It's a work in progress, like I said. So yeah, so I think that would be it from me today. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I know there are questions I think you're not clear about. But like I said, I'm always available. So reach me on Twitter, on LinkedIn, add me up, follow on GitHub, contact me on WhatsApp. I'm going to drop a message on the WhatsApp. Anyway, if you send a message, I'll typically respond within an hour. And when I'm super busy, maybe like 2 hours. But usually, if you send me a message, I should respond within 1 or 2 hours. Sometimes, almost immediately, I'll respond, but sometimes you get busy and you're not able to check your phones. But yeah, so that's it from me for today. Tomorrow, we're going to go over the installations again, that I'm sure. So for those who are not clear, if you are not able to watch again the video tomorrow, I'm sure the coach that is going to take over will start from the Git. I'll also be online since it's in the evening. I should be able to pop it. I'll pop in around the same time just to see how things are going so far. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening to my sermon. Thank you for listening. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Coach.
So I'll hand over to my colleagues.
Thank you so much, Coach Fumito. What do we have to say to Coach? He has done so much. For the past 2 hours, he has been here giving us value upon value. What do we have to say to Coach?
Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you so much.
Brilliant, beautiful. Just like Coach has said, he's always accessible. He will be there to answer all our many questions and give us much more clarity. This session is also recorded, like and you would get access to the sessions. All our coaches, everybody is on the WhatsApp group. So feel free to reach out to them, ask your questions, and much more information will be placed on the group as usual. Okay, so at my end, they just knew that we're about to end the meeting and they now took my light. So all right, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, Coach Fumito. On behalf of every organizer and coach present here, I want to say thank you all for being here up until now for the past 2 hours. We're going to do this again tomorrow. Get ready and get set. God bless.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone, yes. Bye.